So the founder of this anti-trafficking organization called Veterans for Child Rescue, they don't rescue children though, but the founder says that the reason they're not more effective in actually combating child trafficking is because they're a small team that doesn't have the time or resources. But over the past several years, this guy's had a lot of time to attack child trafficking survivors. So in the last year and a half, he's made me his target. Now I realize he also represents himself as a federal criminal investigator, and I can't find any information to back that up. So if anyone can, please let me know. But I believe that's a felony to impersonate a federal officer. But anyway, for the past year and a half, him and his family have spent a lot of time publicly on the internet warning everyone that I'm a witch. And he's also telling people I'm a criminal and a felon. And see, the interesting thing is, like, I've never even had a DUI. Like, it'd be okay if I did, but, like, I've never even been arrested, much less charged of anything criminal. So, like, calling someone a felon, you know, is ironic for someone who pretends to be an investigator. But it's also just a year and a half ago, if any of this were true, like, we would have seen something happen by now, correct? Now, this obsession has been wild, and the irony, like, even when I'm calling out the cult I was born and raised in, the other accusation is that I'm a part of this cult and am protecting it. And, you know, it's interesting, I have so much paper trail because I worked with these people for about 3.5 years, right? So back in, like, 2022, I sent this whole file of evidence about this cult to the founder, and of course, nothing was done, because what was coming to my attention is that they were claiming to investigate all these different cases and traffickers and asking survivors to send in evidence and all this stuff, but, like, they weren't investigating any of those cases. So I never heard back about the evidence I sent about the cult, and I wasn't trying to make any of this about me, right? But just the irony in the accusations and the paper trail of evidence that I have to disprove them is actually hilarious. So laugh with me as I keep exposing how desperate and cowardly these guilty people are, especially when a petite smiley female is here to expose them and is not afraid of their big bad insults. And I've also got the receipts to show what they're really afraid of, you knowing. Because only the guilty fear the truth. So this nonprofit contracted my marketing agency back in 2021 to provide online marketing services, which we did. Right now, I went above and beyond to do education and awareness information. I'm proud of the work I did. That being said, I didn't have visibility into the investigations and combating trafficking lanes. And when I started understanding that what we were doing was severely ineffective and no warrants were resulting, no arrests, like what we were doing was not what was being represented in the fundraising, right? I started asking questions directly to the founder and the executive director, like, what's with the misappropriation of funds? Obviously, I was more tactful, but my questions were about misappropriation of funds, their association with the Mooney cult, and a few other very questionable things, like why aren't warrants resulting from any of these operations, and why aren't we actually combating child trafficking despite the millions of dollars that have been raised in the last several years? Now, they were responding exactly like guilty people do, right? Which is to deflect and project, and how could you ask these hostile negative things, and cabal, and who's filling your thoughts with all these negative things? And okay, my quest